Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the El-Scari Harvey Art Gallery and the Center for Spiritual Living, Kansas City, I, Aisha Sharif El-Scari, and Warren Styles Harvey, the artist in the back with the awesome hair, would like to welcome you to both of these separate institutions. The gallery is separate from the Center for Spiritual Living, but we share in that we welcome you and that we are an inclusive space, 100% inclusive. That is without regard to how you show up. So thank you for being here, and know that whoever you are always, always welcome here. If you see something that you love, feel free to let us know back there. We do accept payment plans, so we want everyone in Kansas City and beyond to own original art. And we believe, or at least I believe, that Warren Styles Harvey is the biggest thing coming out of Kansas City. And so if you have a chance to own one of his pieces before they're worth millions, I would recommend that you do so. We're going to have a moment to acknowledge the sacredness of this event by Nadir Angela.
Good evening, everyone. You all hear me? Okay, cool. So nice to see all of your faces. So before we get started, we recognize that we have a lot of different faith traditions here. So we just want to start off by asking everyone to acknowledge God, the Creator, whatever it, or whoever it is, whatever it is that you believe in. We want to do that with a quick moment of silence. All right, thank you.
All right, so one of my favorite stories to tell is about how I first met Aisha. This story has some humor because we each tell it differently. My version of the story is that I met her at 5 a.m. on an airplane headed to the Kabe Khan retreat in 2010. I noticed Aisha for 3 reasons. She was wearing a hijab and clearly Muslim. Second, she looked semi-irritated, yet neutral in the face. And most importantly, how incredibly dressed she was at 5 a.m. I, on the other hand, was struggling on all fronts and threw my shawl over my head until we arrived. The Kabe Khan retreat is a place where African-American poets from around the world have been carefully selected to immerse themselves in a week-long, intensive writing workshops. Friendships and or distance are often instant. I am an extrovert, loud, and pretty up front, and Aisha is quite the opposite. But I was intrigued by her movement throughout the retreat, her distance, and her style. By day 2, I made the declaration to her in front of others that we were going to be friends. The introvert Aisha looked scared and puzzled, while I, the extrovert, was confused as to why she looked puzzled. We were going to be friends. But here we are, almost a decade later, and probably just as confused with each other as we were before. How can 2 women so different be friends for so long? We connected at the intersection of Black and poetry. Aisha and I returned to Kansas City with the goal of continuing the African American Poets Circle and dedicated to meeting frequently, even with crazy schedules, with the sole purpose of revising our manuscripts for publication. Eventually, our group of 5 dedicated Black poets dwindled to just Aisha and I, and that is where we are today. So much has changed during that time. She's gained 2 whole human beings that call her mama, and I have a 20-year-old off to college over 1,000 miles away. And while I truly cherish all that we've accomplished in our time as a writing collective with various publications and appearances, did you all hear her this week on KCUR? Yeah, wasn't that great? Outside of all of these accomplishments, it is the friendship and sisterhood we share that means the most. Aisha assisted and cheered each of us as the book offers came in one at a time. None of us could figure out what was taking so long for the world to figure out what we already knew about her collection. It was brilliant. I have a lot of theories about life, some of them are really bad, but the one that I have about time might be the closest to genius that I have. I will share that in a moment, but first I have to talk about Aisha. This sister has always been a woman of grace, and her grace was pushed to the limit when she had to be genuinely happy for others, when her dream was not yet realized. Not many people can do that over and over and over again, but Aisha did, each time. I knew, not only as her friend, but also as a fan of her poetry, that the collection was, mark my words, award-worthy at the very least. Yet no publishers had taken a chance on her work. Divine timing is like love. It requires us to lean on something other than math or science or logic. Divine time requires us to lean on faith. It requires us to know in our hearts that our greatest good is always on the way. Aisha approached the process of writing this collection with not only great courage and grace, but also great faith. During the in-between, as her peers seemed to move past her, she stood with unshakable faith. She would refer to her holy text, her mother's advice, and her husband's optimism to gracefully move through the in-between. So it makes sense that in this collection she grapples, unapologetically, but absolutely aware of her potential audience. What it means to be African-American, woman, Southern, now Midwesterner, mother, wife, and Muslim. All her identities are alive and revealed, but not to be gawked at. Instead, to be deeply respected as new ancient wisdom, meaning it is not only artistic, but also scholarly. To Keep From Undressing demands the soundtrack of soul music, preferably Stax records, that carries long steps and saunters down the Soul Train line. It requires some Michael Jackson and some crunk. This collection requires the reader, regardless of how they identify themselves, to suspend their bias and to consider another truth. This collection is revolutionary. Because we have been taught that revolution is violent and rough and wild, one might not think this work is revolutionary, but it is. Literary revolution requires us to change what we have heard or to even listen for the very first time about a truth that has been marginalized or ignored. Revolution requires us to open ourselves to the complex nature of everyone we encounter in the text. This non-violent revolution does beat you though, but not to the point that you are bleeding, but to the point that you are ready to surrender your dated and narrow thoughts, ideas. As a woman with multiple identities that I deeply honor, love, and express, I am so grateful for this collection that seems to flirt on the edges of going too far before it pulls back enough to keep you in place, still respected, yet still pushing forward. It is a merciful power, and Aisha is the personification of that power. My challenge to you is simple. Send Aisha home with 0 books tonight. I would encourage you to purchase at least 3 copies, one for yourself, one to gift to a Muslim girl, and one to a complete stranger. Shout her out on all your social media platforms. Let's spread the news of this voice we've been longing for when we didn't even know it. The voice of grace, exceptional execution of language, truth, and revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet and welcome the author of To Keep From Undressing, Miss Aisha Sharif.
We did that poll a few weeks ago on Facebook of what song I should walk into. So that was one. Of course. I'm going to walk out on another song, but it's a surprise. you all so much for being here. It's finally happening. Before I start the reading, I just want to thank a few people. First and foremost, Natasha El-Scari for a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. It was so humbling to hear such beautiful words about me. Oh, coming from Natasha, if you haven't heard her poetry, you're doing yourself a disservice. You have to hear some of her work. It's amazing. And give it up for this wonderful space, specifically the gallery. Come back, purchase some art. It's amazing. It's a wonderful space for African-American artists and work. Natasha has been my partner in crime, as she's mentioned, and I don't think this book would have come to fruition if it wasn't for her. She's been a wonderful editor, very honest, and that is exactly what I needed. Very encouraging, so thank you again. And also Nadira, stand up again. She came and she did the opening sign. She's also a fabulous writer, and if you look on the back of her book, she actually wrote a blurb about my book, and she's written an article about it, and it was just humbling to have such a great writer write about my work that I really respect. So please check her work out, Nadira in general, on all the things that made me beautiful and what we learned along the way. So check her work out too, please. Support each other. I want to thank my family. I almost had a heart attack. Oh my gosh. My mom and brother are here, and I didn't expect them, and they surprised me and made me cry. So, oh my goodness. So thank you for driving all the way from Memphis today. Thank you for being so supportive and loving. I want to also thank my mother-in-law, Celestine Muhammad. She helped put this event together. Thank you so much for always being willing to help. My cousin Jennifer Harris, she helped with the food, and you probably seen her around. You know who she is. Well, she's my cousin, kind of sister too. I love you so much. I want to thank the communities in Memphis, Tennessee, the Muslim communities there, because they were like a lot of the subjects of some of these poems, and they birthed a really confident voice in me. And also the community of Al-Shura Islamic Center represent here too. So I just love being around these Muslims. And thank you so much for coming out and believing in me, being amazing. Yes. But last but not least, I had to thank my husband, my main squeeze, my homie, my lover, David Muhammad in the back. He has been my biggest support. He's so positive, reassuring. He would listen to me sound off in my poetry, and some of the poems are even about him. So thank you for still being here after reading those poems. And my daughters, they're not here, but they're here in spirit always. And so thank you for giving birth to me and me giving birth to you and whatnot. And last, my publishers, Sparkle Press. They're not here. They're out of Nebraska, but I'm really appreciative of them publishing this work. Check them out. They're a great press. Maybe they can do some magic with you guys if you have some writings that you're interested in. Okay, let's get started. The book is entitled To Keep From Undressing, and you have a copy. You're more than welcome to follow along if you like, or just listen as I read. This book, again, is titled To Keep From Undressing, and it's a collection of poems about my experiences as an African-American Muslim and my journey of faith. And one of the things that I was saying to some of the people earlier in the session with the reception was that, you know, sometimes when we think about Islam and Muslims, we don't really think about African Americans as being Muslim. And I wanted to write a poem about how I view myself as an African American Muslim. And so it's the title, it's the beginning book, poem in the book on page 11, if you want to follow along. Why I can dance down a Soul Train line in public and still be Muslim. My Islam be black, not that don't like white folk kind of black. I mean my Islam be who I am, black, born and raised Muslim in Memphis, Tennessee, my parents who converted black. It be my 2 brothers and 2 sisters, Muslim too, black, praying at Masjid al-Mu'minun, formerly temple number 55, located at 4412 South 3rd Street, in between the strip club and the Save-A-Lot black. My Islam be bean ply black, brother selling them newspapers on the front steps black, everybody struggling to pay the mortgage back black. My Islam be Sister Clara Muhammad School black, starting each day with a Pledge of Allegiance, then prayer and Black History black. It be blue jumpers over blue pants, girls pulling bangs out of their hijabs to look cute black. My Islam be black and Somali boys and girls grades 2 through 8, learning Arabic in the same classroom, because we only had 1 classroom black. It be everybody wearing a coat inside, because the building ain't got no heat black. My Islam be the only Muslim girl at a public high school where everybody Kojic asking sideways, what church you go to? Black. It be me trying to explain hijab, black. No, I don't have cancer. No, I'm not a nun. No, I don't take showers with my scarf on. No, I'm not going to hell because I haven't accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, black. My Islam be riding on the city bus next to crackheads and dope boys, black. Be them whispering, black. Be me praying they don't follow me home, black. My Islam don't hate Christians because all my aunts, cousins, grandparents be Christian, black. It be joining them for Easter brunch because family's still family, black. My Islam be loose diva, black. Head red up, feathered and jewel, black. It be me 2-stepping in hijab and 4-inch heels because dancing be in my bones, black. My Islam be just as good as any Arabs. It be me saying, no, I ain't gonna pray in a separate room because I'm a woman, black. And don't think I can't recite Quran too. Now pray on that, black. My Islam be universal because black be universal. It be Morocco and Senegal, India and Egypt. My Islam don't need to be Salafi or Sufi. It don't have to be blacker than yours, black. My Islam just has to be. Several poems in the book, pause. I have to say this. When I say the line about in between the strip club and the state line, like it literally is. Like there's a strip club like a couple blocks up in my life. But it's interesting because it reflects on like you don't have to be in a specific place in order to worship. A lot of poems in this first section deal with the aspect of conversion, and like a lot of African American Muslims, my father converted in the late 70s, and my mom as well. And I think a lot about how conversion affects families, particularly kids, or even just the choices that your parents make when you are growing up with regards to faith. So I just wanted to read some poems in light of that. This next one is on page 21. To my Muslim father. If I was 7, I could dance for you, parade and spin my pink parasol. You would laugh, call me beautiful girl. Back then, I strutted on tables when teachers weren't looking, wore shorts and parted my hair. I was a junior majorette. I batted my eyes and twirled an oversized baton. I had lots of boyfriends. To my dismay, I grew to be a woman. You said it was time I hide the girl underneath long sleeves and silk scarves. You sent me to the Muslim school where girls wore white leggings under ankle-length blue jumpers. I wrapped a scarf over my hair. You said it sat like a crown, but it gripped my head, left red bumps around the edges. I would twirl my finger around loose strands, tap my feet to old dance routines. You ignored me for a week the time I drew a heart on my ankle, while your sons did everything under your eye. I dreamed about getting you back, wearing fishnets, smoking cigarettes, training my scarf for a scarlet beret. But I studied your face and saw myself. I knew you were making a model of me. I added in rhythms of Arabic prayers, introduced myself as your daughter. Faith had become my ticket to you, to that beautiful girl still dancing in my sleeves. I began to love you unconsciously. Yes, Father, you made a Muslim out of me. Before my father converted, he lived a very different life than when he did convert. He grew up in like the elite black society in Memphis, and he partied a lot, and which I assume my mom partied too. Yes. So I wonder, like what would have happened if they didn't convert to Islam, right? What kind of life would they still have led, and more importantly, what kind of life would I have led? So throughout the book, there are poems where I stop and pause about and think and imagine what my life would have been if I grew up Christian. And I wonder if other people have ever thought about that when it comes to if your parents had not converted. So I wanted to share a poem on page 19, one of those poems. If my parents hadn't converted, questions and answers, part 1. 1. What would my name be? Marion Elizabeth Spate. 2. Who would have held me during my baptism? My father, standing by the fountain of holy water in the foyer of the Immaculate Conception, would have cradled me in the folds of his left arm, his right hand resting gently over my heart. 3. Cheerleader or gymnast? A gymnast. What freedom to run and flip, to twist myself out of questions, then dance with a smile, head tilted back across an open floor. 4. Who would have taken me to my cotillion? A thin, light-skinned boy named Harold, or Samuel, who lives on South Parkway East, whose grandparents and my grandparents years ago at Lemoyne College, or maybe who marched with Dr. King during his last visits to Memphis. 5. This is important, you guys. How short would my prom dress have been? Just short enough to reveal my knees. A lady, still a lady. 6. How many boyfriends would I have had? 3 or 4. Harold or Samuel? John, the summer fling from the racket club, or Joey, the pre-med from IU? Those are fun poems to write. As I mentioned before, in the Soul Train poem, I attended a school that was an Islamic school, and the unique thing about it was that it was predominantly African American, and I think that is where I formed a heavy, proud sense of my identity, that you can be Muslim and you can be black at the same time. Because a lot of times when we think about Islam in America, we think foreign, we think other, we think Arab, honestly. We don't think about all of the different races that are also Muslim. So I just wanted to read a poem on page 28 that's an ode to that school, because if you don't know about Sister Fair Muhammad schools, they are foundational in the community of African American Muslims that are associated with Wardi Muhammad. And if you've ever played kickball or any type of sport, especially one with the ball, like, it's a sport, but it means so much more when you're a kid, and it can be so integral in memory making. So, kickball at Sister Claire Muhammad School. After Brother Mustafa drilled our daily calisthenics, we were free to play, to forget the morning's word problem and Black history lesson. All of us, grades 3 through 8, huddled outside that large brick building, once home to the KKK, that's true, and picked teams for a game that didn't discriminate. We took turns being captains. Wally, the eldest boy in school, could make the ball glide against gravel and then fly up and linger for a second. He knew placement, how to aim in between defenders, give full Nelsons to his brother, then turn around and lead Zuhr prayer. Mansour and Yusuf, stocky boys, couldn't read Arabic and didn't care. They knew how to throw hard to first base, laughing as the ball bounced off our heads. Always would throw the ball at me. Then there was Willie, a tall boy who could leap straight and snatch a ball before you could reach home. The boy's sister Rosie called on to grab a broom to swat this week's pigeons that squeezed through the holes in the roof. And there were girls like Khadija, who could deceive you with her small frame and outrun Sabir and Stephen, a girl who never let herself believe she couldn't lead her own team. And then there was Zola, whose mama was a Janaku and didn't trust those white people in their schools. Zola, the girl who would stop by a defender, catch her breath, and call out their mama, then say, Allahu Akbar, losers, as she walked home. No one could tell her that she wasn't Muslim. To play kickball, we had to judge when to stay on base and when to steal home. Like Rashad, who snuck out of school one afternoon to buy hot chips at the neighborhood Save-A-Lot. He could fake so well you'd actually believe he knew that surah he was mouthing during Islamic studies. But it was Ayub who really memorized the 99 names of Allah, only to forget the last 87 after going to public school and making friends with boys who had beepers. At our school, black skin glistened from sun. We thought of nothing of returning inside to hot rooms, extension cords, and floor fans set to high. We'd wipe off kickball sweat and try to answer Brother Mustafa's question, why is water wet? Never knowing, he never wanted an answer, just our engagement with something deeper than ourselves. We'd stop playing the dozens in bathroom mirrors when the adhan was called, rushed to stand toe-to-toe in a prayer line, ignoring tattered carpets, holes in socks, and torn pockets in jumpers. We were black kids who prayed in Arabic and learned that our inheritance was never gold domes and minarets, but a muddied black and white ball rolled right at us, free to float in air, ready to twist and turn into something that could be caught by willing arms. Even with this acceptance within this smaller community, as Muslims, you still go out into the world, and unfortunately you experience that not everybody is accepting of you and your identity. And there's some poems in the book about Islamophobia, especially when it comes to the airport and how that is the space that I think a lot of Muslims get so nervous about, like, oh gosh, here we go. But there's also that nervousness even within the Muslim community. And I wanted to share a poem on page 42 called Accent. And there's something in Islam, and the Muslims here, I hope you understand what I'm trying to communicate, where the way in which you're perceived a lot of times with regards to language, especially your ability to speak Arabic, is very much like a judge or marker. And if you're not a native Arabic speaker, a lot of times you may not be viewed as being an authority on Islam, even though you might know a lot, right? So, well, you don't really speak it that well, right? Which is code for you're not Arabic, right, or Arab. So I wanted to share a poem about some of the discrimination within the Muslim community against non-native Arab speakers, and maybe, this poem might resonate with you. Accent. You think while drinking Arabic coffee at the house of your Saudi friends that you have been embraced, that they don't see your black skin. You think of how you helped them revise their essays for their business classes at IU. How you've taught them what a Hoosier is and how to pronounce the word cousin with an S, not a Z, like you say with your family in Memphis. You think of how you spoke up for them after 9/11, so you're confused when they snicker after you ask, what time is prayer at the masjid? They remind you, it's masjid, not masjid. You thank them for their lesson, and think of how everyone back home spoke like you spoke. You wonder what other Arabic words you speak come out black. How your assalamu alaikum sounds more like salam alaikum. How you pronounce the Arabic letter ayn like ain't, as in there ain't nothing I can't do as good as you. You always held your breath when your 11th grade English teacher, Mrs. Moharan, called students to read out loud. Each time she made you stand and face the class when you said ax rather than ask. You learned to switch tongues around your cousin, that it was okay to say, I ain't tell nobody, but you'd always say Bismillah under your breath as they said amen during grace at Sunday dinners. You wonder how many times you've translated yourself. Last New Year's Eve, you opened your home to your friends, spent hours making a playlist of 90s R&B songs, only to have your Palestinian friend turn off your music because it was haram. You wondered whether you were in your house or his. Even now, sitting in line for prayer, you avoid calling the adhan. You remember what your Saudi friends said. You can only know God in Arabic. You remember what your voice carries, your long drawl, your black-eyed peas and collard greens, your parents' Christianity. It reveals your black neck, your familial disconnect, your fried chicken breath. I wanted to share some poems about some more specific aspects of Islam, specifically marriage, particularly marriage in light of women and divorce. For some reason, I didn't think across religious divides, for some reason, women carry a lot of responsibility in marriage when it comes to maintaining family and whatnot, and then the aspects of divorce. A lot of times we view women who are divorced differently than men who are divorced, and unfortunately women carry a lot of that negative stigma associated with that. And so the poems in the book, especially towards like the third section, talk about divorce, especially in light of my personal relationships with family members, and then it allows me to reflect on my own marriage. And I wanted to share a few poems from that section on page 52. When she lands in Memphis, my sister's suitcase is full of Texas. 1 red step-in, 2 60-minute phone cards, 3 broken pearls, past due electric bills, empty Mary Kay concealers, Huggies, a picture of her husband with his wives, 2 state permits, 1 for driving, the other to conceal her 45, wrapped in our father's letters, all of which begin, patiently persevere. Sometimes when writing about that topic, it was really hard for me to kind of get down what it was I was trying to say and what I was experiencing. On page 58, I tried to do something a little bit creative when it came to displaying the writing process. Someone asked me earlier today what was my writing process, and sometimes you could have poems that are very self-aware that actually show the process of writing the poem and how difficult it is to get something out. And this is one of those poems. The title of the poem is that it's an Arabic word referring to the period in which divorced women have to wait until they get married again, which is usually around 3 months, technically to make sure that they're not pregnant by the man that they had just divorced, so they don't go into the next relationship. So this poem is about that waiting period of where this divorced woman is waiting. Ida, part 2. A girl on a couch by the window. On the bed by the window is a girl. On the bed, a girl. The girl is a woman. A woman is on the bed. She is shaped like an apple. The woman sleeps alone. She's divorced. The divorced woman sleeps in yesterday's clothes. The divorced woman lies in yesterday's clothes. Her name is Asma. Asma lies in yesterday's clothes to keep from undressing. Asma is your sister. My sister lies on my bed in yesterday's silk shirt and linen pants, her body a bruised apple. Your body is not like your sister's. My body is not like Asma's, a bruised apple. She lies on my bed in yesterday's shirt and pants, anything to keep from undressing. You are your sister's keeper. I am my sister, lying on a bed, under a window, bruised. I must keep her and myself out of yesterday's clothes. So that is the poem from which the title has been pulled, to Keep From Undressing. And that line has taken on so much meaning of anything that we do to prevent ourselves from understanding things about ourselves that we really need to understand, right? That are right there in front of our face. Another poem, 64. I'm not going to set this one up. On the drive to Texas to pick up your son from his father, you tell me you really wanted to say no on your wedding day, but guests had arrived. Sitting in the passenger seat, I turn to your face, see my weak eye in yours. We are sisters, each other's garments, but I am just seeing you uncovered. You tell me you wanted to be a doula. I never knew. You tell me how your husband evaded the IRS, made deals under the table, and kept his other wife a few doors down. I never knew. You tell me you couldn't come home and face questions alone. I tell you I understand how hard it is to be tied to someone and remember yourself. We are sisters, both afraid of changing our minds, of letting go of images, a ring around a finger, a faith sitting so snug. After we arrived, you surprised me with tickets to the Prince concert, a thank you for making the trip. I had never been to a concert before. That night, I watched you primp, compare my flats and jeans to your heels and wrap dress. I watched you strut to our seats. You were always curves and confidence. During the show, you watched Prince finger his guitar strings, spin and split, lick his lips. I watch you sing back, jump out your wombs, and dance like everyone is looking. I swear, this is the type of sister I want to be. I set down my purse, put my hands in the air, and roll my hips. I don't know the words, and you don't care. We do the bump and scream loose our fears. The next day, we meet your husband outside the bank. You don't say hello, but take your son, buckle him, and drive away for the last time. He winds the entire trip home. With each note, you grind your teeth. And I turn up the music from last night's CD. My way of helping you and myself. Remember the night, face and body, things we always had but never knew. So I'm going to switch gears now. Didn't really expect that. Okay. So, like I was saying, the poems can be very hard to write, but it's important to get them out. Today is World Hijab Day, and I wanted to share some poems about hijab because it has been such an amazing journey with hijab. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I just wanted to pay homage to the hijab. And one of the things that has made me feel so wonderful about being a hijabi, which is a woman who wears hijab, has been my mother and her ability to make hijab with fly, to wear leopard print hijabs and just be awesome. And I can't find this poem. It's hot combs and hijabs, and I don't know where it is. Okay, 86. Yes. Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, my mother converted to Islam, and I think one of the things that has made me so proud is this ability that where you can have this interfaith relationship within families, that you don't have to just pick. So on page 86, I wanted to share a poem for my mom. Thank you. It's called, appropriately, Hot Combs and Hijabs. How could I forget my mother? Her nails painted grapefruit red every week. Her trips to Nordstrom for a new pair of open-toed heels, slingbacks, and wedges that she matched perfectly with her hijabs. How could I not recall her strutting in the masjid in her diamond-studded jeans, her love of Treasure perfume? My mother knew how to keep herself together in this faith. She taught me how to balance two worlds, how to fry fish in steamy masjid kitchens, and where to place the wine glass and soup spoon on a proper dinner table. She passed down her mother's slips and camisoles, opera gloves and mink stoles, turned Sunday hats into Friday tams, switched between hot combs and hijab pins, followed Arabic classes with piano lessons by Uncle Arthur. How could I not remember how she posed at the Peabody Club's Christmas brunch, a glass of sparkling cider in one hand, her Swarovski clutch in the other, toe out, hip to the side, then vickered after prayer that night. She caravanned to Detroit and Atlanta, those meccas of black Muslims, but kept summers for grandparents in St. Louis, where she braided and beaded my hair, let me run free, and never apologized for the freedom of conversion. So I'm just going to read a couple more poems. I always tell people who, men who are married to hijabis, that they have got an awesome job, because every day you come home to a woman who is totally new from the next day or the day before. Like, being married to a hijabi is such a roller coaster, right? It's like, what hijab are you going to have on today? Oh, this is how you are. I didn't know that before I married you. Right? So all of the veils that come with wearing hijab, the outward veils, but also the internal veils too. So this is a praise poem for all of you hijabis out there on 89. Hijab B. Hijab be talking back, hijab be talking black, hijab be running things, hijab be like, what you say? Hijab be saying, watch me work, hijab be meaning, watch me flirt. Hijab be praying still, hijab be raising hell, hijab be like, get out of my way, hijab be all up in your face. Hijab be southern and sweet, hijab be sun-kissed sweet tea. Hijab be smiling, yes ma'am, hijab be betting them eyes, salam. Hijab be knowing how I feel, hijab be like, just hold still. Hijab be covering my sin, hijab be laying on thick. Hijab be turning all sullen and blue, hijab be swearing she don't look good. Hijab be tired of the spotlight, hijab be like, I ain't coming out tonight. Hijab be knowing when she come round, hijab be taking her time. Hijab be ignoring what she say, hijab be rearranging her place. Hijab be like, take me or leave me. Hijab be anything she wanna be. I couldn't not read the next poem on 87. I remember once this person said, or asked me if I've ever been to a club before, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, so you took off your hijab, right? And I'm like, no. I totally went up in there with my scarf on. And they were like, how would you do that? That's disrespectful to your hijab. I'm like, what? Is the hijab now a person? I'm interested in this notion that there are certain spaces that are off limits because of religion. Not that I disagree with that, but I'm interested in how you navigate those spaces while still holding on to your faith, if that is possible, and what would that look like. So here's my poem about that. When you're hijabi going to the club, wear your hijab. Make sure it's tucked tight. Pin it up so your neck doesn't sweat. Cock it to the side. Wear your heels. Go with your girlfriend. not the one who's never been in the club before. She'll constantly remind you she's never been in the club before. Go with the one you saw pop and lock it that one time in the mosque. Pick a club where you can actually dance, not grind, but dance. Step in all fierce like Grace Jones and dare anyone to tell you there's no hijab allowed in the club. Why shouldn't you? Find a spot on the dance floor and claim it. Twerk. Now wait. Don't get all hashtag Team Twerk champion in the club. You're still a hijabi in the club. Let your hijab work for you. Let it ward off the guy who just wants to hit and quit. Forget those men at the mosque who say that this is haram. Dance! Hold on to that bass in your hips. Why shouldn't you? Go to the bar and order a Sprite. Repeat the word Sprite when the bartender looks at you funny. Tell him you're the designated driver. When you see another Muslim at the club, let's say Mahmoud, I'm so sorry. Raise your cup, and I just randomly picked that name. Raise your cup and give him the salams. You're still a Muslim at the club. Who cares what he thinks? He's at the club too. Dance, girl. Look at your crotch. Isha prayer time, and you're at the club. But you decided to go to the club, so be at the club. Make peace with the music in the moment. When the DJ plays your favorite song, throw up your hands and yell, "That's my jam!" Dance. You're there in the club, hijab and all, not pretending or denying or lying. Remember, Allah sees all, so dance and don't look down. Why shouldn't you? Close with this poem, page 90. There are so many things in our life that present tests to our faith, whether it's marriage, whether it's Islamophobia, things that happen with family members. And one of the things that I know that has truly brought me back time after time again is my relationship with my daughter. And children have an amazing ability to put you in check, right? When you go out, you're like, hey, they pull you back and you see the path that you want to create for them. So this last poem is for my daughters. When your daughter pulls you to prayer, you pray. Let her grab your hand like you do hers. Let her lead you away from bills and tests and texts and into submission. Web her chubby little fingers through yours as you step downstairs, one by one, over sippy cups and blocks, past spilled cereal and muddied socks, to reach that quiet space where you once retreated when your faith was young, uncluttered, and easy. You've since closed those doors. How can you return with your depression, failed ventures, gained weight, hands shaking? How can you stand to hear your voice tremble? But your daughter is leading you. You cannot run from this. Let her pull those blue scarves lying on the edge of the desk. Help her drape hers as you drape yours. This is mothering. Stand by her side when she cups her jelly-covered hands like she saw you do months ago. Life has not broken you. Smile. What a blessing memory is, precise as her hands folded over each other. Remember, your mother showed you prayer, how to bend and rise, how to fall to your knees. Alhamdulillah. This is how you learned your body can be a vessel of gratitude. Your daughter is learning hers now. Let her crawl onto your back as you place your head to the floor. Subhanallah. Listen to her giggle, jumbled words you once uttered. Let them stir up verses you forgot, that you let sit dormant, a potted plant, wilted in shadow. Rise. What made you forget the strength of your legs to pull you back up after falling? Raise your hands to ears, summon the words you always silence. Allahu Akbar. Smile, bend your toes, feel your spirit spread like ivy. Know that she sees you come back, your hands hugged under your breast. This
is what daughters do. They remind you of yourself.
Thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have enjoyed this reading, and we'll take signings of books in the back, but one more surprise. We're going to go out to Memphis. Thank you all again.